Why don't we call the meeting to order at 7:02? We have 4 boards. We have a lot of people. We're over our 50%. So if you look at your agenda, changes to the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Bob, did you have something or not? Or is that?
You mentioned something when we were just down the opposite. I don't remember what it was though.
Must have been important. Okay, well, if I remember it, we'll come back to it.
I don't remember.
I know, it's really tough getting old. So the item number 3 is new business. You know what? We don't have any agendas to approve.
Minutes, yeah, we don't have, that might be it, but I don't know if there were any included in the packet.
Okay, so new business.
We'll have to do that next.
We have policy updates, and we have a whole bunch of them, more than I can count because it's more than 10. Allison, you kind of sharing the policy group or somebody else?
It's me.
Okay, so let's turn it over to Allison, and she's got a lot of stuff to talk to us about.
I did that. Well, we went through. Sorry, we went through all the policies, and I don't remember at this moment exactly how many we went through exactly, because there were some that we looked at, but we already had some, and that were previously approved, and then there were some that we may consider in the future that are recommended policies. But as of right now, these are the policies listed on as being required by the state of Vermont for us to have regardless. So the policy committee went through every single one of them, made them relevant for the WCSU board. I did talk to our attorney's office just to double check that we didn't want to, if there was a policy that maybe didn't apply to the WCSU, but did apply to the schools, we wanted to make sure that our policy wouldn't supersede theirs, or that, what was the other question I asked them? If it was something that just didn't pertain to us and we had to have a policy anyway, should there be a disclaimer of any kind? And they said, no, adopt the policy as is, just as it was presented by the VSBA, because they had a nice list for us on their website to make sure. And so we went through all of these. We updated all of them. The policy committee then went through themselves and looked over everything, and everything was cool from them. So these are the policies at this point, and I don't know the amount of them.
34.
How many?
34.
There's 34. Yes, it was a lot of reading. But yeah, so there's 34 policies here to be considered that the policy committee is recommending for warning and then adoption.
Okay, so everybody, let me just real quick. Everybody knows that we have to vote to warn them, and then they have to be posted for a minimum of 14 days at wherever Windham Central posted stuff. So the next meeting, we're gonna have to go over them and then adopt the 14 or 34 policies. So that's the procedure. So although we're gonna warn them tonight, we're not adopting them, so they won't be in effect until we actually vote to adopt them.
So are these policies, will they become effective for the school districts, or do the school districts then independently have to warn and adopt?
So it's actually a really good question, because in Stratton, we did it backward. We went through and we did it for our district prior to this. And that, I was told by the VSBA, was not the goal of what they wanted us to do. They want us to go through from the WCSU, adopt these policies, and then have them on our listing for the towns to the districts to then go through and adopt them individually at the district level. And that's where we're gonna adopt them, like, well, there may be some of them are on here, but like firearms don't necessarily, as it's written in the policy, doesn't really apply to the WCSU. You would go through and you ratify it to fit your district.
And many of the districts are in different places with those. And I think you guys, I think Doug, before he left, caught you up with all the required ones. So anything that you may be missing would be just recommended ones or all the ones you want to have. But the required ones, this will check off the boxes. I think for all the districts, we'll have all the required. And yes, once this has been adopted.
And the other thing is, if you had an existing policy in place, like if you have a transportation policy, there's nothing saying you have to adopt this one. You just have to have one, and you should cross-reference it to make sure there's nothing glaring there. But you are able to have the policy that works for you.
Yeah, and as the VSBA updates their versions, some of these are ones that the SU even already has, but these are more updated versions.
Yeah,
So,
most current.
so you may find that one of your districts has an older version of it that might be different than what the SU is preparing to warn it about.
Right, and you can still have your own, yeah.
And a lot of districts forget that it's not a one and done, every so many years you really should review them. Because, things change. Go ahead.
Can I make a motion to warn to warn the slate?
1 to 34.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Al, a second by Dan. Dana, Leanne, Peter, Kate, any comments, thoughts, questions?
No.
Kate's shaking her head, no.
No.
Not here.
Thank you.
All set.
Peter fell asleep already, so. Thank you, everybody. If there's no more discussion, all those in favor, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. Good job, Allison and Kate and the rest of the policy gurus. So onwards and upwards, we're up to postings update. So go ahead.
Yeah, so we had talked about this with the executive committee, just to give an update on where we were, the status of some stuff, not the least of which is position for Lori Garland.
Yes, oh yeah.
So, who are you again? And so we have had that position posted for a few months now. We are at the precipice of arranging interviews and getting to move forward in that direction. So probably by the next SU meeting, we'll be able to report some hiring, hopefully. And just a reminder for that position, you guys had budgeted for that to have a 6-month overlap with Lori, so the position will start July 1, even though Lori will be here through the end of 2029.
2030.
Did I slip that in okay?
Nice try.
Did I see how I did that?
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
So yeah, so we're moving into the next step of that, the advertisement and phase is over. We're moving into the interview phase the next week or two. So, and then
Well, hang on.
Yeah, sure.
Posting.
Yep.
Is there any comments, questions?
Are there other postings, just the one?
well,
We have 23 open positions.
yeah, in the SU office, I think that's the only one. But
Yes.
there was a lot of open positions. We had a team of us, 3 of us, that went to the first, I think probably our first job fair ever, because the nature of recruitment has changed, and where we used to get 50 to 100 applicants for positions, now we get 1 or 2. So UVM hosted a job fair for educators up at Middlebury High School last Friday, and so Michelle Brown from HR, myself, and Sue Haskins went up and had a table, gave away some swag, and tried to con people into coming. I almost had a finance director stuffed in the back of my vehicle to abduct him, but he wrestled free at the last minute. But yeah, so it was a lot of good conversations. I will say this is the first time they've done this fair in Vermont, and the number of people at the tables outnumbered the people walking around looking for work.
At this one?
Yes.
Wow.
Now, it's the first one, and it was a UVM thing, so it was like UVM students only in education, which is probably a pretty small number. But there were districts from, I think from our county, I think EF was the only one that wasn't there. So
It must be full, huh?
we did have some people tell us that our display was the best. So we had a little light up WCSU and everything, and gave up.
And
highlighters.
Michelle Brown texted me that Bob could sell ice to Eskimos.
I was
He's working the floor.
At one point, there were 2 young women who came over, and I asked what they like skiing, and one of them was like, "Yeah, I used to ski at Stratton all the time." It was like, I got an opening at Wardsboro, I got an opening at Dover. Both you can come. You can live together. You can save money on housing. I had it all worked out. Michelle was just laughing in the background, but
You can't ski because you're teaching.
we did not get any applicants from that. But we've started to think about creatively about how we can recruit and so I think I was saying to Lori the other day, I think we need to push our recruitment more out of state and think towards the Springfield, Hartford area, maybe Boston, Worcester, I don't know, but like really trying to get people to come to Vermont rather than get people from Vermont to come to us. That really the allure is to bring them to Vermont. And we've talked about a couple different ideas of trying to see if we can get some of the ski resorts to donate some season passes to new teachers that we could incentivize, like a signing bonus, if you will, those kinds of things. So we're thinking creatively, but we're recognizing that the pool is not what it once was. But I was telling someone at the job fair, as a social studies teacher who was looking for work, and I said to him that when I was 30 years ago looking for a social studies job, but that Ron Staley told me when he hired me here that there was 75 applicants for the one position. And that is not the way it is anymore. So anyway, so that's just we just want to give you an update of like how we're approaching this from an SU standpoint. And it's all the districts. I had a young woman who was world language, and I was hitting her hard on the Marlboro thing. She's like, "Oh, is it full time?" So that was some of the dilemmas. The small schools would part this and part that, and it just wasn't enough to lure her down to apply. So those are the challenges of the small school districts, right?
So that's what I wanted you to talk about that's what I said. Because you're doing something else. Weren't there a couple places you were going to job fairs? Or was that just the only one?
That's the first one we've done already. We've talked about doing some more further south, but that was the first one. We did that last Friday.
And then when you're interviewing for the business manager, you're going to include some board members from WCSU on that, correct?
You would like? People are interested, let us know, I would say. Or
you should.
you send an email to the board and look for
and then
responses.
they can respond to me, and then we'll pick a couple people.
Okay. Right.
I know we did it last time, and it worked not for Lori, but the one before, because Lori kind of came in house.
Yep.
But it was an interesting process. So if anybody has any interest and is like you've been around forever, you know about the finances and stuff. It's really good to hear what other people think. So. Yeah, if we could do that.
Yeah, I'll send an email out tomorrow and I'll have people respond to you.
And I just hired somebody, and the only reason I got them was I gave them free rent for 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hope it's a big cardboard box.
It's not much bigger than a cardboard box, but
Under a bridge.
but it's just him, his girlfriend, and his dog, so hopefully it'll be good.
Yeah.
So is everybody okay on the postings? Good job, Bob. And so that must have been the signs on the desk down in your office that say WCSU that light up.
Yeah, those were the ones we took down, and we had a poster of, we had sunglasses that have Windham Central written on the side, and a little picture of me wearing the sunglasses, and it said, "Your future's so bright at WCSU, you have to wear shades."
Ew.
We were handing out the shades. Oh yeah, we went corny.
Oh,
We went
man.
We had.
We were running away from that.
I wish I had brought the highlighters. We bought these little highlighters that have Windham Central on one side. On the other side is the QR code to our job site where all the careers are. And we had a little sign in front of the basket of highlighters that said, "Working at Windham Central will be the highlight of your career."
Oh.
So yeah, we went corny a little bit.
Wow.
It was fun. We leaned into it though.
Some hammer pants and you would have been
I
all
was
there.
not wearing hammer pants.
I'm watching Dana and Kate because I can see them on my computer.
She's
Dana,
cringing.
is this the best comedy that you've seen on TV in years?
Oh, somebody told me we needed to have more marketing.
It's
This is amazing. You guys are gonna Bob's gonna get recruited to go work at some advertising agency or something soon.
No, I don't know anything
Amazing.
about
Kate's going to recruit you for the country store or something.
that. All right.
Okay,
We'll
thank
talk
you.
later, Kate.
So that, unfortunately, the incentive for Bob is not to be able to hire, if you want to stay here, keep doing this job and not get, pilfered by somebody who really wants you. You better not hire anybody.
But we had no one apply, so I don't know if that might, slow down Kate's recommendation.
Maybe we should have sent Lori up.
Yeah, right. So, but we were thinking about, there were some groups that had students, there were some groups that had teachers, some that had just HR people, some superintendents. It was a mix of people at the table. So we learned a lot about who we should bring and what our angle should be, and where our table should be.
Oh,
We got there a little late, and so we were in the corner. And I tried to play like nobody puts Bobby in the corner, but nobody bought that one either. You would like that one, though. You like that one?
You're
They didn't like that one
killing it,
either.
man.
I know, I was on fire.
I hope you kept your shirt on.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay. Transportation update. Is everybody good? I'm sorry, with recruitment. Poor Dana's he's not gonna make the whole meeting.
Right.
Neither is Kate. Better go quick. If everybody's good, transportation update. We have a transportation committee, right?
Yeah, Greg was gonna get something. I don't know who's on it. Has anyone here been included in that can speak to what, because honestly, I don't know what the status of that was. I know he was looking to put together a group.
I think we're out of it because we have our own, right? Is that correct? And
I mean,
Well, we have our own, but we're also
Dover was
involved.
also in on it too.
Yeah.
There was some broader issues conversation
okay,
too, so.
yeah,
It wouldn't hurt for you guys to have somebody just because
happy to be
there
part of
could
the
be
council.
some, yeah, well, there also can be some sharing and
Yeah, absolutely.
maybe you can rent your bus out and make some extra money on the side.
Could be a good deal.
Okay, next meeting, let's definitely see,
Yeah, I'll
and
have
if Greg
give us an
can,
update on
in your
that.
cabinet report coming up for April.
Right.
E-finance update, Lori?
Yes, so first of all, for people that don't, yeah, I'm gonna need a chocolate. For people that don't know what e-finance is, that is our accounting software. And just a little bit of history, the state mandated at one point that all the districts in the state of Vermont were going to be on the same accounting software. And they were paying for it. They went out to bid, they chose this vendor. We followed the law here at Windham Central. It made sense to do the transition to e-finance when we did it because it was coming at the same time as the mergers. And there also was a new chart of accounts that the state was mandating as well. So we took the initiative, we did the work, and we converted our legacy software to e-finance. So I'm on the e-finance governance group for the state, for the business managers, and we had a meeting yesterday. I knew this was coming though. This is, you know, it's far into the future, but it's really not what I'm going to tell you. But so the state is, they have extended their contract with e-finance through 6/30/27, which means that there's still no cost to the district then. But after that, they're dropping out of the picture. So the state will no longer support us and we'll have to pay for the software. There is some concern about, you know, we may form a consortium of districts that may want to stay on e-finance, but we need to be able to get some pricing because it's not a great system, to be honest with you, right? You've heard lots in the news about the system. You know, so the SU board and Bob and whoever's in the business manager's role at that point, that we'll need to make some decisions. And these decisions can't be made, you know, in 2026. They need to be made and you need a pathway forward. So because on July 1st, 2027, you either are on a different software or you're continuing with e-finance. So either way paying. And my point yesterday in the meeting was, when asked, would you stay on e-finance? I said, I would never make a decision until I knew what the cost was going to be. Because if I'm paying $40,000 a year, which is the going rate, so it's expensive, I would want it to be a little more robust than what we have. So potentially a software conversion in your future. I don't know that that's the pathway that you all will go, but I wanted to report out that that these are decisions that need to be made probably within the next year to have a pathway forward. So,
You know, we got really lucky because we had all our merger grants, or at least West Rivers did,
that's correct.
and River Valley, so we used all that to get converted.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, I'm really angry because one of the questions we've always asked since way back at Act 60 was, how do you compare apples to apples? You know, when we got schools up north that take coaches, you know, luxury coaches, and, you know, Brattleboro put $100,000 into their ball field right after Act 60 or their football field. And then, you know, we're lucky that Leland and Gray can even, you know, stay afloat, you know, and they have to defer maintenance and they can't spend that kind of money. So this was going to solve all this so that we were all on the same page and we can all and then we can actually see what's really being spent, compare apples to apples. And then schools just said, I don't want to do it, it's too hard, but yet we jumped through hoops, we hired you extra people and extra help, and spent a ton of money that could have gone to other things in these mergers. And, and then the state just lets them go, and then the state says, okay, we're just gonna wash our hands of it. And they still haven't gotten financing down. They wanna take over everything. They wanna just have, a single benevolent, education person that runs the entire state. And I just think, folks, we gotta start getting angry. And the VSBA is, we have some great representation from this area. I've always said how lucky we are. We used to have 3, maybe we'll have 3 again, I don't know. Legislators here, we really got to really push on this, because it is BS that the state, is trying to compare, and how they can compare when you got different. So Lori, whatever you can do for us to set us up in the next few months, I think will be really important. I think it's, the horse is gone for this thing, because, they're all getting ready for you to go home and start campaigning. But I really think in the fall, and I really hope people ask at election time legislators what they think about that. I don't want to be political, but it kills me that we this same conversation, Dan, you've probably been having. You were probably 10 years before me. I've probably been having that conversation all the time, about finances, and it drives me up a wall. I'm sorry.
Can I just ask a question? So the e-finance, wasn't that was put by the state, everybody had to get on that, right?
Correct.
But if they're gonna drop it, are they then gonna recommend a replacement so everybody's unified in what they're using?
No,
They didn't even make everybody switch over.
no, not everybody switched. There's only about 20 school districts that are on e-finance out of all the school districts in the
Out of
state.
how many?
60?
More than that.
SUs or districts?
Or just-
SDs or SUs.
So like
So-
a third of all districts.
Right. So we could literally decide to go off e-finance to find a program that you like better for the state to turn around, and then say, nope, we need everybody to be on XYZ program, and we'd have to do a second conversion all over again.
That is a potential risk that this comes up again in the legislature, that
Okay.
they need to be, I mean, I agree with Rich as far as data collection. This was going to be able to compare, and the one good thing that came out of all of the legislation around this was the unified chart of accounts. So we are all on the same chart of accounts, and that was the argument back to the legislators, that we're all on the same chart of accounts. It doesn't matter what system we use necessarily. So it's just, we have taken it out of our budget because we thought for the foreseeable, for as long as I thought, right, that we wouldn't have to pay for this. And now we do have to put money back in the budget, significant to Windham Central. It's not, it's definitely.
It's not cheaper for smaller SUs.
It's not cheaper. No, in fact, it will cost, if you decide to switch systems because it's a better system for a better price, first of all, an implementation is a lot of work. Like, it took over a year and a half for us to do the conversion, but it's also, you pay a pretty hefty implementation fee. I've got one of the other districts, Maple Run, I think it is, which is a single district, is paying $80,000 to convert, and then 40 going forward per annual cost. So, and that's a single district, right? So, so multiple databases cost more money. So it will be a significant cost in the future. And first when I heard 27, I'm like, okay, but then I started backing it up as to when, if you are going to make a conversion, you have to start. So as more information comes out on this, the governance group is working on, they're going to talk to the state, and they're also going to potentially talk to eFinance just to kind of get an idea of what it would cost different districts if we formed a consortium. So we'll have more data, be able to make a better decision based on that. But I do know districts that were on e-finance because they did follow the law and have since got off of it because they just don't like it. It's just not, there are some real downsides to it.
Do you know what the rest of Windham County's doing?
So I know that, yeah, they're all on a Tyler product, and that was the downside when the state went out to bid, and they got the bids back. Tyler, the company, it's Tyler. There's all different, variations of the Tyler software for accounting, but the majority of the districts in the state were on a Tyler product, but this product came in like significantly less money, like $5 million less, and so they went with the cheaper bid, and right,
It's not always better.
not always better, and
It's-
especially because you had probably almost 3/4 of your state on a particular brand, maker of software. So that was unfortunate that they decided to do that.
QuickBooks is not customizable to schools, is it?
No, and our auditors would not
Lose
like
their
that. QuickBooks is no. You can delete things out of QuickBooks. So,
Okay.
So
Everybody
cheaper is never better, seldom is good. Usually it'll cost you a lot more money in the long run, but at this moment in time, it was the cheapest thing that you could do.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
Well, I think Laurie kind of answered my question, but I guess I would say, even with an $80,000 implementation fee, I think we might look really carefully at a system that was not as clunky as e-finance. If going forward at $40,000 a year, those are gonna be more or less equivalent. Let's try to get this behind us. That would be my impression right now. But I also do wonder though, why everybody knew e-finance was completely clunky from day one, and this is 5 years ago now.
Right.
Why haven't they been able to update their software? They're pulling in money from these 20. Is there any sort of back and forth? Is there,
We have
questions
the
asked?
state actually hired a representative to basically be the liaison to, it's a Power School product. E-finance is a Power School product, which a lot of people use for their student information system. We actually this year have moved away from that for the student information system and gone to Alma. Yes, the work has been done to try to get what we need, but their support is almost non-existent. In fact, I've had a support call in for a pretty significant issue since September, and it's not been addressed. And every time in this governance group I bring it up, like, I still have this outstanding thing I said, so finally yesterday I said, I would really like to get this resolved before I retire. And the Power School rep laughed, and the other people on the call, the other business manager was like, no, really, she's retiring. She really wants to get it done. So it's not been a great thing, but I will tell you that, we use it, really with fidelity. I mean, it's, we've gone through audits. Our auditors don't like it, but they haven't had any material or significant findings. So the system works. It's not that it doesn't work. It doesn't work efficiently, and the reporting is very poor. So.
What did we spend? Because I think just at River Valleys, we spent, didn't you take like 100,000 from our?
Not all of that went for the implementation, but a chunk of it did, and so for West River as well.
Yeah.
It paid. So what you didn't pay for in implementation fees or in annual software costs, you paid for in human resources, and it meant more people, more stipend, people working on weekends to do this, that type of thing that you were paying for. So there was a cost to it. And there continues to be somewhat of a cost because it's not an efficient system. I feel like we could do more with less if we had a better system. But
Lori, what were we paying for the previous system on an annual basis?
like, we were getting such a deal. It was less than $20,000 a year.
That was a good deal.
And it was for 13 districts at the time. But it was like, they told us if that we left and tried to come back, it would be exponentially more expensive.
And that wasn't on title, probably.
No, it was not a good, it was, we didn't, you know, whenever you do a software conversion, your hope that is you gain efficiencies, you gain, you know, a functionality, and ours was more of a lateral move. So it wasn't, we didn't gain a lot from it, so.
Al,
I just want to say, I think that's a great point, is so often that's overlooked, like the hidden costs, all the extra payroll that you're talking about, and the lack of efficiency, redoing work and all that. So yeah, as we're judging systems, if one is making it up 70 versus 60, but you make it up on not paying those hidden costs, it's
or
just so
hiring a
worth
whole
it.
new person just to help implement at 80 or 90.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
So I just wanted to update you because it's again, it sounds like it's far away, but really decisions have to be made particularly if there's going to be any type of.
So a really good thing for us to be looking for in Lori's replacement is somebody's had experience converting or transitioning from one software to another, and you know what experience they have in overseeing that, because that's gonna. I mean, I remember Lori was like, I wouldn't say she's in tears, but I remember he kept coming to us and we added people, and it was not an easy thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's gonna be something that person's gonna have to do probably within a year to 2 years and a year and a half of them coming on board. So let's make sure we keep track of that.
And I'd love to have at least a narrower direction by the time Lori leaves. To use her expertise to help guide that, even if it's not a.
But you won't be able to transition it.
No,
Else is
but
gonna have to be responsible.
Just the process of thinking through the decision, because it's someone who has experience with multiple systems, not just the conversion itself, but what system is better suited for us. I think I'd like to have her, give her.
Yeah, and Lori, we really do appreciate that you're gonna stay for those extra 5 years to transition. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that was cool. We got it, Bob, twice.
That's good.
Is there anybody else for Lori? Lori, thank you. If everybody's good. District updates, you know what? Let's start with Marlboro to our left. Anything good going on in Marlboro land?
All kinds of good things. They're talking about some field trips. We heard recently that the 7th and 8th grade was planning a trip to Boston, and all the kids wanted to go to New York instead. And finally the teacher said, okay, I had a place lined up in Boston, you line a place up in New York, you figure out how to get us there, we'll go to New York. And so the kids did, and they're going to New York. So it was kind of saying, okay, you know, we don't want to hear grousing from you anymore. If you can get your act together, we'll do what you want to do. And I think they haven't gone yet, but that's one cool thing I thought was happening there. It's kind of empowerment, you know, and also not having to listen to it anymore.
You guys had a shift in your board makeup as well.
We have a quorum right here.
We do, that's right. We didn't warn this meeting, but it's part of a larger group, so I think it might be legal with that. So 5 to 3. We couldn't find anyone to run. You know, I don't know how other groups are doing, but as of the first of the year, my term, I wasn't running, and I was the only person willing to be on the board for the coming year. I was lucky to get
We did twist a few arms.
Rachel and Andrea to agree to do another one, but it's a concern. Joe knows this. I've mentioned it at School Boards Association over and over again. Who are we going to get to be, you know, civically engaged? Who isn't my age, you know? So.
What, 45?
Yeah, and your
Two out of
budget
the
passed
three
overwhelmingly.
Our budget passed.
Yep.
With like 300 and something to 26,
Yeah.
I think, or something like that. So there was not
It was reduced, but it was lower than the previous
it
year.
was lower than the previous year. Yeah.
That always helps.
Our article to not have open
Tuition.
tuition did not pass. So we are still, kids can go get their tax dollars sent anywhere they want.
Well, approved alternative schools.
Yeah,
Approved independent schools.
approved independent schools. But that was a close vote.
That was about 45 to 55, I think, so about a 10% split right in the middle.
Cool. Anything else in Marlboro?
Still looking for a language teacher.
At
Bob's scared him away.
0.02%, I think, or something.
Couldn't sell that one.
Yeah, I couldn't sell that one. No, I think, I will say, just my own personal impression is, we also have a new superintendent, we have a new principal. Sitting with the new principal, for me, is a complete delight, because she embraces the school, and the kids, and I'm just really happy when somebody can come along who so successfully fills a role that you just never know when you're hiring, when you're looking for people. She was at Kindle Farm for a number of years, which was a clue that there might be some, cross-pollination there, but anyway.
Yeah, so she had to hit the ground running, and she did. And she's doing very well from what I can see, but Dan at least has grandchildren in the school. I am just in full something. I went there, and I taught there.
And we're on the school board there quite a few years ago.
I was on the
now.
school board there quite a few years ago, before I taught there.
Thank you very much. You want to do Stratton?
Sure. Our budget, we did it, whatever town meeting day was, March 6th or 5th or whatever it was, and our budget passed unanimously. I think it was a 15-minute long meeting. So that went well. We do have a new school board member, which is exciting, for the first time in several years. So that's pretty cool. We have a 5-member board, but we were sweating it out to see if we were able to get anybody. So I understand the sentiment, but we did have someone come along. And so that's great. And then this next week coming up, Bob has said he's gonna come up and take a little Stratton tour, because we just have kind of our district is, all the districts are so different, but ours is unique in our own way, and he's gonna come check that out. And he's gonna get a ride.
It's gonna go from a 15-minute meeting for me for quite a bit more, but that's good.
He's gonna get to ride in I call it my stink wagon, my Suburban. I'm gonna take him around town.
That wasn't part of the sales.
See the sights of Stratton. So that's what we've got going on.
You gonna take him to the old schoolhouse?
Well, yeah.
It'll be a little cold, but
There's only one road, so he's not gonna miss it.
he may blink.
He might.
You better bring in your swag.
Yeah, right.
WCSU will put it on the top.
That's
Light it up like an Uber.
WCSU mobile.
Be all set?
Yeah.
Cool.
Or is there gonna be a question section at the end of all this, or we don't have time for that
The
tonight?
question what?
Like other questions? Like,
Oh yeah, we'll do that right afterwards
Okay.
before going to executive session. Okay. Wyndham, I see Rory is here. Dan?
Dan Roth is the other member. Yeah.
So yeah, Dan and Rory, thank you for coming. It's great to see you guys. We usually have a report out session where if you have anything you want to talk about what's going on in your district, and we get to hear about other districts, and so either one of you or both of you can take turns, whatever works for you guys.
Let's see.
Or you can say nothing.
Yeah. A lot's been going on in our district. I don't know if you are all aware, the elementary school is closed. So we're navigating that right now. The kids are down in Townsend. They're very happy. We do have a new Leland and Gray rep from Windham. I don't know if he's here. But
No, he was there last night though.
okay. What else? So we're just trying to figure out what is going to happen with the building at this point, I think. I was a little bit late to this meeting. I did hear the end of what Lori was saying, and that's a little concerning about Dan, I don't know if you got to hear it, the finance programming that's going to be changing. Yeah, Dan, do you have anything you want to add on to that?
Yeah. So, like Rory said, we're non-operational. So what's next for us is we already have a budget that we approved. So we're gonna put it to the voters, and hopefully have the budget we need to tuition the kids, to provide the transportation, do transportation stipend, And then in the meantime, we're looking at kind of short-term and long-term plans for the building, and figuring out, let's get the right people together. Let's start talking within the community and figure out, what the community needs, like in terms of like an assessment or, what have you. And then, start building from there. So
A lot of moving parts right now.
yeah, absolutely. Yep. That's all I got.
So just so everybody knows, with Windham becoming non-operational, so when we reorganized Windham Central, because we used to have 18 people at a meeting and 6 boards. We used to be Al would show up because the one game ended. He had an hour between the other games, so we had to get a whole bunch of stuff done. So we had a quorum. So with the combining of some school districts, we also rewrote how the super board works. So we decided that non-operating school districts like Stratton got 1 vote. You got a minimum of 2 votes. So Marlboro got 2 votes. Dover and Wardsboro were a little bit bigger. We got 3 members. And then West River has, I always get it wrong, but it's 6, right? 6. And we thought that was a really good balance because West River didn't have more than all the other boards combined. And even though we don't have a lot of issues and votes that are broken down on personal school district lines, we thought it was a really good balance. So when Bob mentioned that Windham was not going to be operating a school, I said I think they should just get their two votes at Windham Central through the remainder of this year, because they did start off the year as an operating district. But I think Rory and Dan, when we get after July 1st, when we reorganize and start next school year, you guys will get cut down to 1 vote. So one of you will get the vote. You can all 3 of you can attend. It's just when it comes to a vote, only 1 person gets a vote. So like for tonight, both of you get the vote, but in the next meeting, but in the future, it'll be just 1, just to be aware. So you may want to have that conversation amongst your board, just to decide who the 1's going to be.
Okay.
Okay, and again, pardon?
Rock, paper, scissors. Rory.
Thumb wrestling. Well, we usually do thumb wrestling, and it's the best 20 out of 30 or something, But yeah, I just make sure that I just didn't want that to come up as a surprise or shock to you folks. And if you have any questions, you can definitely ask, and we can we can look into it. But that's my understanding of how that should work. If anybody disagrees. Okay, cool. Well,
Rolls is rolls. So
did somebody have?
Rory did.
Oh, Rory, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So no, that's okay. I just want to let you guys know also, this is not my question, but I do have a bit of a concussion, so I'm a little bit slow. So my question is, does it need to be, if we are only down to 1 vote, does it need to be the same person attending every time, or can we?
You can. It's good that if it's a consistent person, so that when we're having a discussion, that we don't have to go through it all again. Like tonight, we approved a bunch of policies for posting. Next meeting, we have to vote to adopt them. So instead of having to go through things, but you usually appoint 1 person at your organizational meeting to be the Windham County or the Windham Central rep. But if that rep can't make it at the meeting previous to the Windham Central meeting, you can say, okay, Rory, you were always the one who was the representative, but hey, I can't make it, I'm going to my daughter's recital or something. And Dan can say, well, I can make it. Then you guys can vote to make Dan the rep for that meeting.
I think, Rich, you can also do that for a whole year if you want. I think you can have a person and a designee that you can vote in at a meeting.
You guys do that?
We did that.
Yeah, we've done
We
that.
did.
Oh, okay, so
You don't have to know you're gonna have to go to a birthday party in California.
okay,
All you have to know is say, I can't be there. We've already approved somebody to be
that's good.
the designee.
We've never done that in our districts, but see, that's why we also do this, because we all learn something all the time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Did you have a question, you said, Rory?
That was my question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. See, I'm slow too tonight. Al, you wanna do West River?
Yeah, sure. So we had our informational meeting last night for our budget vote. And as usual, Lori gave a great presentation, and I'm so glad to hear that she'll be giving that presentation all the way through 2029.
Yeah.
So that's
I thought Bob and I
fantastic.
did a great tag team thing.
That is
It
true.
was
That
really
is true.
good.
Is it on TV?
It will be. It was recorded.
Did you record it? Was it good?
Kinda have to say that.
No, it really doesn't.
Yes, Bob filled in and said it was great. Good tag team. I agree. And then we have the budget vote today. The polls closed at 7:00, so I'm sure they are commingling and counting as we speak, and hopefully we'll get a positive vote on the budget.
Should be soon, huh?
Should be soon. Yeah, we'll find out. I'm sure Bob will get an email quickly. Also this Friday, it's Friday, right? We have the long-term planning meeting, and that's at 11:30 to 1. And yeah, so we're making good progress. We're kind of on a track where we're going to be doing something that's kind of short to midterm, and then as the group is called long-term, we have a long-term plan that we will start to look towards after we get this short to midterm plan in place. So yeah, lot to look at. We have a company called Stevens and Associates that is kind of helping us and guiding us to really come up with a refined process of how do we look at all the variables, the transportation, the many different things that possibly could affect what would mean if somebody needed to go from one end of the district to another, et cetera. So lots of different variables. So we're gonna have a matrix. We're gonna score using this matrix to kind of help us determine, what is the best path for us going forward. So
You hired
Really-
a third party?
yeah, we have a company called Stevens Associates. They're
They're
mostly
Brattleboro.
they're engineers, so yeah, it's mostly for the structural piece of it. But yeah, they're definitely helping us and guiding us in that direction.
Is that John Goodell at Stevens that you're working with? Is he the particular person or something?
No, actually, it's Brad Stevens and Diane Abbott.
Brett Sanderson,
Brett Sanderson.
not Steve.
Oh,
Brett
yes,
Sanderson from
sorry.
Stevens.
I got Bob Stevens and Brett Sanderson. Yes, Brett Sanderson. Yes.
The reason I ask is because actually, I should have mentioned that Marlboro School District has contracted with Stevens and Associates in the person of John Goodell to look at the former Marlboro College campus. So it's a big deal for us. We're still deep in the process and things are glacially slow, but something we should have mentioned is that we're still trying to come up with, it's gonna cost less to move into an existing building than to renovate the one that we have. So another little tidbit of information.
Well, didn't Lori promise to stay till you may decide if you're moving or not?
She did.
And bake biscuits for the sale, it's gonna pay for it.
All right. So other than that, winter sports are done. We're now moving into spring sports. Pitchers and catchers reported last week, and other sports as well, softball, track, etc. So, and we also, let's see, what's today? Journey Away kicked off, was it Monday?
Yes, Monday, March
Monday they
25th.
headed on their journey.
6 a.m. I was here for basketball and they were loading the bus. Yeah.
Wow.
Where are they
Where are
headed?
they going?
So, correct me if I get the, I'll
got your
take a
back.
swing at it. They're going to the New York area and then heading from there down to the Gulf states. And it's all food based, so food connectivity,
That's so cool.
which is really neat. And then
So wait, it gets better, yeah.
yeah,
It's just the beginning.
so the Gulf states, and then from there they head over to Vietnam by way of Taiwan, and then from there they go from Vietnam to France. So, yeah, they are circumnavigating the globe. It's pretty incredible.
Comparing food systems in all these places that have similarities around their food structures and cultures. 6 weeks, they're gone.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
That is so
I want to go on that trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You didn't get asked to chaperone.
So,
They
yeah.
had a lot of applicants for that.
Yeah.
Throw that in the thing.
Yeah.
You come teach here, you
Yeah.
could go on this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Great point. So, yeah,
For 6 weeks.
amazing.
Very cool.
And yeah, so besides that, on probably get the date wrong, but I think it's April 8th that we have our next meeting, which is our reorg meeting. So,
In the dark.
In the dark, yeah.
and yes,
Right.
that is true. Fortunately, it's in the evening.
It's in the evening.
It'll still be in the dark. So, that's it.
Hey, real quick, your long-term thing, is that like, that's everything, structures, where students are gonna go, how you're gonna move around?
Absolutely, name it.
Yeah. And Stevens does that kind of work, it's not just on the buildings, it's also the.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no.
Yeah, they facilitate the conversation. It's focused on the buildings, but they do help facilitate the conversation as well.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, deeply looking at the capital needs assessments that have been done and helping us organize that. Yeah.
Cause your building's about the same years as ours in Dover, they were both built around the same time. Yeah, I think we were 71, so. Cause I see it's starting to crack really well. Anything for Al? Thank you, Al, that was a really nice report. Okay, Kate, can we do a tour of Wardsboro and Dover, places to eat, like the Base Lodge maybe, and the country store? So, I'll start and I'll let Kate finish. In River Valleys, we just approved our budget, we approved our warning. We meet in Dover at the end of our articles of agreement. We swap where we meet 1 year in Dover, 1 year in Wardsboro. We still do live meetings and votes because a lot of us really believe it's a really interesting way to do it because, somebody just votes yes or no. If they vote no, you don't know why they voted no. Was the budget too high? Was it too low? Did they not like something in it? We actually, a few years ago, had something going on that probably would have been voted down. I know it would have been voted down if it had been a budget check mark question because a lot of people, we thought it was gonna get voted down live, and then one person made a point about it's really not more expensive than anything else you do. And then people like, oh wow, that makes a lot of sense. So it was a unanimous decision to approve it. So we, again, Bob's been, unfortunately, I think you guys mentioned a new administrator. We had 2 new administrators. You had a new administrator in Windham for a while, and you had a couple new ones in the West River group, didn't you?
One went from interim to permanent.
Yeah.
Well, and
So-
2 at Leland Gray as well. So,
Yeah, so I mean, there was a lot of new administrators and, I don't think it's been easy anywhere. We had a teacher's husband pass away unexpectedly and our administrator wound up becoming a teacher. And there's just been a lot of crazy stuff going on, but things seem to have settled down a little bit. I want to really compliment our administrators and Bob for doing keeping the wheels from coming off the ship. I can't express enough how important Greg was because we do have a lot of building issues going on. Our roofs are springing leaks and, it's a $600,000 worth of roof. We also have had, a bunch of non-educational things going on. So we found out that the Dover building has PCBs. Luckily, the Wardsboro building didn't, which is excellent, but now we're all testing. Oh, and then don't forget the state pulled all their financing or all their funding. And then we all have to test for radon, which wasn't cheap, and who knows what happens if they find radon and where that money's gonna come from. And then, Lori with her budgets and stuff. I've so enjoyed working with Lori. I'm really kind of sad that we're only gonna put half a budget together next year. That's why when Bob said tonight she's staying until 2030, it's been really great. And I think,
Pay for that, aren't
yeah. So I'm really, so anyways, I think, things have been really good. I'm really happy. Kate, anything you wanna add?
I think you covered all the key big points. We're excited to, spend April giving information about the budget to our communities, and then at the end of the month having that meeting and hopefully getting the budget passed.
And I don't know if everybody knows, last year we changed the way we vote for board members, which is kind of interesting. We have a modified system because we really felt, and if you remember, Dan, when we were looking at joining with Marlboro, we all felt even though there was different sizes in the towns, it was important to be equal representation, 3, 3, and 3. And I know we worked really hard because I remember our person who was working with us, we were able to do it by saying, okay, if you don't go over 1,500 voters, you get 3, and then after you get over that, we will add representatives. But I guess the state didn't like that because that's not what came out in the end. So with the census of 2020, Dover should have gotten 4 of the reps and Wardsboro 2, and we just thought it'd been working so well, 3 and 3. Bill hooked us up with our attorney who helped us, and we came up with a modified way. So every year we elect one member from each town, but both towns get to vote for them. So I have to, when I run from Dover, people in Wardsboro get to vote for me, and like Dwight this year is running from Wardsboro, and people in Dover vote for him. So it's kind of an interesting way, and it does make you then actually, last year we needed 60 signatures. This year we're down to 27 or 30, 1 page versus 2. So it used to be really easy to get 15 signatures. Now you got to work a little harder just to get your signatures, and most of the time there's not more than 30 people to vote anyway. So, but the elections are the night before. Like you guys have your informational meeting, we actually have elections the day before for the full day, and then the Wardsboro clerk and the Dover clerk will meet, in whatever town we're going to be in for the meeting an hour before, and they dump all the ballots together, shake them up, and then we count them. So we actually have to be there an hour earlier for the vote count, and then we have a meeting. So that's coming at the end of the month also. What's that?
Your previous board meeting to that annual meeting is your informational meeting, right?
Well, we're required to do an informational meeting within 10 business days before the annual meeting. In the past, it's worked really well where, like, when we're meeting in Dover, we had a meeting in Wardsboro. So this year we're gonna be a little messed up. So this year we're gonna review the budget and the warning Monday, April Fool's Day in Wardsboro, because that's where our meeting is. The third Monday, we're gonna do it in Dover, because that's where our meeting is. And then the following week, vacation week, we're gonna have just a review, the warning meeting, the budget, and then the following week will be the vote. The election on Monday and then the vote on Tuesday. So people have 3 different times to question the budget and stuff. But we don't make Lori go to all of them. Kate, you set? We move on?
He doesn't have a Bible now. He's a lawyer.
No, you don't have to come either. We've never really had the superintendent or the
No,
business manager.
they've done their budget presentation, so.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so before we move on, is there any other old or new business I missed? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a comment and a question. The first thing is, I know that we have to move to hybrid meetings eventually, right? Isn't that what we have to do for the state, everything has to be hybrid, right?
I believe that was the bill.
Right.
Yeah, but it hasn't passed yet.
It didn't pass?
Hasn't passed.
I don't think it's been signed yet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, well, in any event, when you go, we have everybody's recording these, like Stratton, we do hybrid, these are all recorded. The Zoom meetings are not on the WCSU website anywhere. So you can't like pull up the meeting, you can't pull up a previous policy meeting, which I tried to do and it wasn't there.
Right.
Stratton meetings, we don't have a place to put those. So going forward, is that something that we could look at, please?
Yeah, I thought we had a link that brought us to the BCTV website for those districts that are using BCTV. I thought we had that. I'll double check with Sue tomorrow.
But we don't have like all of our policy meeting wasn't that way.
What we do,
No.
Allison, is
Right, that's true.
it's my Zoom account that does the school board meetings, and then I just send the recording to Sue, the next day and she puts it somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but it's on the WCSU website.
See, I can't find it anywhere. It's not with the meeting minutes. It's
And
not with the policies. And the WCSU did pay for the Zoom account. So if you're paying for it individually, you can probably contact the WCSU about
No,
that.
I don't mean, I
But-
think they're paying for it.
Oh.
Right.
But yeah, so it goes and it like goes into Never Never Land. And I was wondering where that goes.
Sue will know where they are.
There
So-
isn't board recordings on the
Did I,
Yeah,
am I
you
not
just-
seeing it?
We'll get it sent out, and we should just make it aware for people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that
Stratton.
they
that's
know.
hard. I wasn't able to
Yeah.
find it.
Stratton does it.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean,
You're talking about for Stratton.
No, I was talking about in general. I wasn't able to find it. I may have missed it,
Like,
but I know we're gonna have
you
to do
couldn't
it
find the
anyway.
WCSU policy meeting, you said,
I
right?
couldn't find the WCSU policy meeting. I couldn't find my Stratton meetings.
Yeah, I
So-
looked for Marlboro meetings once and I couldn't find them.
So,
Right. So
you
there you
know,
go.
yeah, we don't have to spend a lot of time, but Bob, can you make sure that that gets
yeah,
taken care
actually, I
of?
was just looking through all of them. Stratton seems to be the only one that doesn't have it, but the other ones do have a link for recordings, and it brings you to BCTV.
Okay.
And under Marlboro's, for example, it shows all the ones that have been uploaded, which are just the community ones for you
It's
guys.
just the BCT ones, and not
Right.
not our regular meetings.
Right,
If
but
somebody wanted to find.
That are-
Right, so those are what to figure out, but like West River, it pulls up a link and you can see all the different meetings, right, listed here that BCTV has. So yeah, it looks like maybe the
They should
ones-
all kind of be there.
They shall be there linked
Yeah.
together. So let me talk to Sue about that and
Sweet. That
Hey,
was my
Meredith?
first.
Meredith? Hello, Meredith?
Oh,
Hey,
hi, sorry, yes.
no, that's fine. Can you just make a note of that in the minutes, make that bold for the next meeting? And then Bob, you can report that out to us at a reorg meeting and, okay. Thank you, Meredith.
Yeah.
So we'll take care of
And now
that.
my question, can I ask that?
Oh, yeah.
I just had a question just because I wear a couple of different hats just because I do have kids in the schools. And so I hear different things. And I was just wondering about something. I wanted to know at the WCSU level, I guess I just was, a lot of questions came up this month about food service. And Greg Frost was involved with that, and I was just wondering what the organization is with that, because I know we have a food service person.
Yep.
We've got a facilities manager person, and he's doing all that, he's super busy, and how did that get crisscrossed, or is there?
his job title includes food service.
Oh, it does?
It's
I thought it did.
transportation, food service, facilities, and safety.
Yeah,
They're the ones- I think there's-
it's a big job.
I thought that the food service for him had to do with like the vehicle transportation, I didn't think it had to do with like reimbursements and menus and all that, I thought that was done out then.
No, he was over food service.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay, that was
I
my
mean,
question.
Donna does the clerical end of it,
Okay,
and he does
Right.
the supervision of the actual staff.
okay, yeah, that was my
That's
question.
why when we had our annual retreat at the Dutton Gym,
Mm.
he was the one who arranged all the food.
I don't know if I remember that.
That was really good food. You
That
should
was a
remember.
hot minute ago.
You should remember
No, I was
that.
there. I remember the food was good. I didn't remember the.
Greg cooked it himself. No,
Thank
but
you.
that's
That's my
what he
question.
does. Does anybody else have any questions, comments? Leanne, Peter, Dan, Dana, you're good. Thank you, Rory or Kate.
I'd like to say, Rich, that, if people really wanna grouse about everything to do with public education in Vermont, they should really be contacting the State Board of Education and the local rep that we have on that state board. Happens to be Rich is the local appointee to the state board. So, among having great legislators here and VSBA representatives, we've also got a state board person. You know,
There's nothing that we do that I understand makes sense.
we just give them hell, Rich. That's all we're asking.
But we are doing some cool stuff. If there's nothing else, could I get a motion to move into executive session to evaluate the superintendent?
So moved.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so Kate moved, Allison seconded. Before Bob leaves and before we vote, just so everybody knows the process, because this is new to Bob, we do review, so we sent out a bunch of applications, a bunch of questionnaires, applications. No, you didn't send any applications.
Seems reasonable.
So there should have been,
You're
we should have had a total of 16 responses. We got 11. Every board did respond. I think we were a little light. We send it to the boards. The superintendent does a self-evaluation. We send it to we kind of consider the certified or the cabinet staff at Windham Central. And then we ask each building administrator, the principal, like in Leland and Gray, they have a principal and assistant. It just goes to the principal. It goes to the people the superintendent actually supervises. So we lost a couple somewhere. I'm not sure if it was at central office or the principals in the buildings, but so we all answer the same question. Some of us put not applicable. Everybody gets to write written comments, and we discuss that here and just make sure that the feel that we're getting from these are the same as what everybody feels. Because one year we had evaluations that looked okay, not bad, and then when we went into executive session and discussed them, it was a horror show. So we do that. And then so then what happens is we come up with something that everybody feels comfortable with. We take notes, and then Emily, Al, and I, as your officers of the WCSU board, meet with Bob. He buys us a really nice dinner, wine, dessert, and we review his evaluation with him. And yeah, but then we review it with him, and he signs it, and we sign it, and then there's a copy given to him, and I have a copy for the last so many years, and then when I die, they're gonna get buried with me, so I have something to remember and read. So anyways, that's what we're doing tonight. So we have a motion to move into executive session for
Rich, for the ones you didn't get, just remember, no news is good news.
okay. And you know what? You aren't far off, Bob, because one year we went back to everybody that didn't put one in because we only got like half of them, and they came back really great. And I'm like, why didn't you do this in the beginning? So
No concerns. Yeah.
so all those in favor say
Thank
aye.
you guys.
Aye. Okay, so you folks have to give me 1 minute. Mary? 8:41, we're out of executive session by unanimous consent. So the board, the officers of the WCSU board will come up with a summary of everybody's comments and thoughts and put it together, and we'll plan to meet with Bob before the next meeting and then report out how Bob took it. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Okay, so the next meeting is May 20th of 2024. And if there's nothing else, I would be looking for that most important motion we make on a meeting night.
So move.
Al move.
Rachel seconded.
Yeah, Rachel, I'm sorry. And then all in favor, say aye.
Wait, it's on a Monday?
No, it should be on Wednesday.
No, May, do I have this wrong? May 20th is on Monday. Am I in the wrong year? No. Yeah,
No, Allison's correct. May 20th is a Monday.
Oh.
So maybe May 22nd.
I wonder if this is May 20th, one of our meetings, Kate?
Yes, May 20th would be that would be the third
Is there
Monday. So it would be
vacation? Is there vacation week after? Is that why?
No.
Okay, folks, we're gonna find out when the next meeting is, and we'll let you know.
It's not May 20th.
Yeah, that doesn't sound.